Hey guys, welcome back to another bonus round, and I'm super excited about this episode because we're gonna be spending some time with one of the coolest guys ever. This guy, he's been in the program now for 4 or 5 months and has experienced some great results. And his name is Jeff Lacy, and he's located kind of in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska. But in this episode, we talk a little bit about some of the goals he had when he came into the program and how he has absolutely obliterated those goals way faster than he thought he would. But I want to get into the nitty-gritty of how. Like, how did he experience so much success so quickly? So without further ado, sit down, buckle up, strap in, get ready, because this is going to be an incredible interview. Let's dive into the conversation with Jeff Lacy. All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm so excited because we have another bonus round of one of our incredible clients inside of the Woodworking Business Accelerator program. He's an incredible guy and has a couple successful businesses. And we're going to dive into his story today. But I want to just introduce Jeff Lacy. Man, I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for taking some time to be on the show.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, before we dive into all the nitty-gritty of your business, tell us just a little bit about you, like where you located. Before when you came into the program, you already have another business, and so
Mhm.
just kind of give us your background. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah. Well, again, Jeff Lacy. I live in central Nebraska, a small town called Strasburg. My wife and I live there, and we own our company. All started out us doing construction earlier on, but kind of with our style, we use a lot of reclaimed materials and stuff, and we did coffee shops and like remodels, and that construction side really blossomed to become something pretty cool for us. And so we still do that full time now. But we've always did tables and chairs for clients. And all along the whole time, we'd remodel their house and they're like, "Hey, can you do a table?" And so we did that, for the last probably 8 years. But then it kind of to the point that I really wanted to take it serious and see what it would be like to start that type of business. And my heart is woodworking and doing furniture and that kind of stuff, and more than construction, I guess. But yeah, so we just started taking that serious, and then we found you, Zach, on basically it was on YouTube on the feed, so that's how that kind of started, and so yeah.
All right, awesome. So I don't want to tell the whole story, but Jeff basically came to us and said, "Hey, I have a commercial shop where we do all of a bunch of the work in-house, and then we'll take it to the site and do remodel stuff. So I've got my shop sitting empty a lot when we're on site, but I've got crew members that we could get this furniture side of things up and running, and is that something that we think we can do? And so it was a really good partnership right out of the gate to kind of help you maximize your shop space, add another revenue stream to your business, and so when you came into the program, you really didn't have a quote unquote woodworking business, right? You had a lot of woodworking experience. You implemented a lot of that into your remodeling business, but you didn't necessarily have a woodworking custom furniture business per
We
se.
did not know. Yeah, we did until we talked to you, Zach, and kind of like you said, you hit the nail on the head of like we had an empty shop about 20, probably about 80% of the time, and then we're like, man, we need to utilize this, and so yeah, then we basically the woodworking side was like, man, this is the natural thing for us to start doing,
Right.
and so that was kind of the segue into it, taking it serious.
Yeah. So how long have you been in the construction side of things, remodel side of things? How long have you been in that game?
So that game we've been in for we're about 10 years now.
Okay.
And we've kind of weathered the ups and downs of like even start, how hard it is to start a business and run it well.
Yeah.
We've weathered a lot of that stuff and personnel. So that's been going on for a while for about 10 now. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So are you married? You got kids?
Yeah.
Kind of give
Yeah.
me the whole scope here.
Okay, so the whole scope, yeah, I have my lovely wife, Erin. She's upstairs now. But yeah, she's one of my biggest supporters in all this and all the ideas and things, and she's been with me for in this whole thing since the beginning. But yeah, then we have two kids. We have Rafe, which is 19. He's in started college, and then we have Finley, which is 16, and she's the athlete of our family. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So Jeff was telling me the other day she like was at a track meet and just
yeah.
killing the game long jump and triple jump, right?
Yes, yep, yep.
So
Yeah, it's
cool.
fun.
I love it. I love it. So when you came into the program, kind of obviously you were trying to, launch a new business model that kind of complemented what you currently did, trying to occupy your space more and make it more valuable. But like, what were some of your initial like hopes or goals to try to get out of the program? Where were you hoping to be within a couple months? Um, and what's kind of like your long-term play here? Like, what's your goal with running a woodworking business?
Yeah. Yeah, so it kind of just started out real simple in the beginning, just to actually create revenue for the shop to cover overhead in the shop. Just to heat a shop like that is pretty expensive, and so just to make those ends meet, and then maybe help pay for an employee or two. And so it was pretty modest beginnings, thinking like what it could be. But then after getting into the program, I really started learning from you guys just of like what this really could be, and I was like, man, it really opened my eyes and to what the potential is for a company like this. And and so I had I didn't have huge goals in the beginning. I was like, I just wanted to kind of see how it goes and kind of implement all the processes and really just stay hands-on and connected with the coaches and but it kind of surprised me when I had like a goal at the end of the year, an end of this year to hit like, okay, it'd be nice if we're hitting this number. And we hit that number the first month out of it. And it was kind of just kind of like it was almost like one of those jarring like oh man, we have to get ready for this.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it was, and that kind of like sent not scrambling was kind of a bad word, but it sent us to like a more serious like okay, let's get our processes set, let's get like our employees set, let's get all that kind of things, infrastructure and processes set. So it's kind of a fun thing to just like okay, this is a very real legit thing. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
love that.
yeah,
I talk to guys often that I'll get on the phone and they're like, "Yeah, in a couple years, I'd like to be here." And I'm like, "Man,
hmm
with the right strategies and systems, you don't have to like." A lot of people just just make up their mind like, "Oh, it's going to take years to get there," and it's
hmm
like not if you're working with and doing the right things, not if you're making sure that you're becoming known, you're getting out in your local area. It really doesn't take a whole lot to speed up that process dramatically. What Jeff just said, had a year, and at the end of the year, I want to be here first month, we're there. And so
yeah,
I've heard that story a lot inside the
yeah.
program. And so that's awesome. So,
Well, it
so
was it was neat. Just one thing I was gonna say, it was
yeah.
interesting because we kind of went into it with the construction mindset, building our construction company, which that's taken like about 10 years to build that, word of mouth and all that kind of stuff, and it just surprised me right out of the gate. This was like we're on okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
which I love. I love
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
most guys, they just kind of come to terms with it's just going to take a long time. It's just going
hmm
to, and it does take a long time to build like a really good reputation. It takes a
hmm
long time to, just get a good name in the community where in the local Facebook group somebody says, "Hey, I need a custom table built. Who do you recommend?" And it's just your company like just listed, right? it
yeah,
takes a
yeah,
while to get
hmm
there. But when you use a lot of, 5 or 6 different diversified marketing strategies to put your products out there and push, one thing I just tell people all the time is like, you just have you just have to push on the business. Like if you want the business
hmm
to go somewhere, you got to push on that thing, right?
yeah,
So,
yep,
but that's one of the cool things that we kind of partner with all of our clients with here. And so with that, so are hitting some crazy cool numbers right out of the gate, right? So kind
yeah.
of kind of tell us how long have you been in the program now? Give me some of the highest highs and the lowest lows, and that's one thing that I try to be just fully transparent on. Is like it's not sunshine and rainbows every
Yeah,
day, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but give me kind of the overall scope and view of like what some revenue numbers have looked like,
Mm-hmm.
how the coaching has maybe helped you guys with certain scenarios or different things.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, I'll start with the revenues first. And so it kind of like the very first like the first like the December of last year, that was technically the first month us kind of doing the full thing. And we came out right out of the gate at $16,800, which I was already kind of impressed with that. And so
Yeah.
that was because I didn't expect it to go that fast. And so,
Right.
and then the first week of January, that was the our first month, sorry, and that was the month I thought, would slowly go into the year and with a projection at the end of the year to be right around, 30,000 plus at the end of the year. But that's the one we hit 36,800 in that first month.
Wow. And
So
January is typically a slow month. Like first,
yeah, yeah,
supposed to
and
be
that's
in
what
like
you said. That's why I was
January.
like, man, and then I didn't actually, and but since then it's tapered back to like the next month was 16.8, and
Hmm.
then this month is actually it's trending towards like at the end of this we have I think a couple of days left, that we should hit around 2022.
That's incredible, man.
So
And so
yeah,
like,
that's kind of cool stuff.
yeah. So with that, like, what are you typically like spending in ads each month? That's a really big, important question for people to kind of understand like the return that you're
Yeah,
seeing based on the
yeah.
ad spending.
So we started out doing $1,000 spend.
Hmm.
And I think we just upped it just a little bit ago too. I think for the $1,500, whatever. I think it's where we're at. Maybe 2 grand. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, and so we haven't gone up huge, but it's just yeah, that's about what we are getting those type of numbers with that, small of a return. So it's pretty
Yeah.
neat. Yeah,
So being like 4 or 5 months in, you've probably spent somewhere around, $5,000 to $7,000 maybe
yeah,
total, and you've done 60,000 ish,
yeah,
70,000 ish in sales. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's incredible. And he's in a small town in the middle of Nebraska, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and our banker was interested because we're kind of a study for him because I told him we're doing this side of the business
mhm.
and I told him what we did for the first month and he just was like his jaw dropped because he's like, man, first start a business and the first 2 months you made about $50,000 and
That's
he was like
crazy.
yo, this is legit. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome, man. That's
yeah,
awesome. So,
yep,
so obviously, results are like the ultimate thing we're chasing. Like
yep,
we want to get great revenue numbers up. We want to get sales. But
hmm,
talk about some of the other components of the program that you really love, things that have
yeah,
been really helpful to you. Obviously, we do a gajillion things in the program.
yeah.
For you, what has been some of the coolest parts of it?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is the coaching. And going into it being transparent. I mean, I could have went into this like, oh, I have this business experience, I already have a successful construction company, but
Hmm.
but I went into it just not into that stuff. I was like, I don't know anything when it comes to this furniture style business. I wanted to learn, absorb everything, and so coming into it with a humble heart and actually just talking to Keith, one of the coaches, and just kind of pouring in and just asking him like, hey man, this is where I'm at, this is my struggles. And then
Yeah.
for him being years in already, just coaching and just and basically saying like, hey, you need to work on your structure here. You need to like, make sure you actually it's restructure all your sales, how you do your leads in this way, and just all those different things that Keith was able to kind of really pour into me, and it's paying there's fruit coming from it.
Yeah.
Um, and like I had recently talked to him about just like, hey Keith, I'm struggling right now with production right now because we have two guys in our shop working on tables and then me when I can. And one guy's really like meticulous and slow, another guy's actually fast and actually not as detail oriented. And so I'm kind of like we're work through all those different scenarios and he just was really good about so he's like, yep, we have the same problems in our shop. And so but
Mhm.
here's what I'm doing. And there's things like that. This is very, very helpful. And so that's probably the number one. And then I think the all since you guys have done this and Zach, you paved the way in this, all the processes that you guys learned and just overall in just the body of woodworkers in the program,
Yeah.
people bouncing ideas off each other. I mean, this has worked for me and this hasn't worked for me. And it's hugely valuable to have that type of support, and especially when you're starting something that's hard to start.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's so good. That's
yeah,
so good. And I love just sharing some of the real challenges that you face. When you're hiring employees or you've got guys in the shop, you're going to get some guys that do incredible work, but if they don't move faster, it's going to take them a year to build a table, right? So it's like
yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta,
exactly right.
and then I got guys that are like really fast and super sloppy, and it's like, how do I where do I put them in the production lineup? Like where do I
Yeah.
put my fast guy? Where do I put my slow guy? Like
Mhm.
how do I line this up so that the product doesn't suffer, but it also doesn't take me forever to get this thing out the door to collect cash because I got to have cash to cash flow the
Yeah.
business, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I love just kind of sharing that and
Yeah.
cool. So from here, what are some of your goals? Obviously, you've got two businesses now that are
Yeah.
probably keeping you pretty busy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what are your goals personally, your involvement in the business? Where you want to take the company, where you want to take this?
Hmm.
What's the future look like for you?
Yeah. I think for both companies is getting the infrastructure solid and getting the people put in place. Because I'm in a position now that I can't do it at all. And
Yeah.
like when construction started earlier on, I was able to be hands-on. I was at job sites, swinging hammers and doing all that kind of stuff. And my life has really changed now that I'm in a chair a lot more, which is fine. It's great. I love that part too. Um, but making sure everything goes well and having kind of like so our construction company, we have 11 employees now for that one
Wow.
and but just managing personnel but it's cool because you're actually able to provide for these for them and their families, and it's just neat to see that part grow. So I guess to get to answer your question when it comes to where I would see things going um for construction at least is us actually continuing to get better and stronger, potentially to advertise in construction. And we're already booked about 14 months out in that. So it's like,
Oh,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so, but just getting our teams just more efficient. And so we can get those projects done faster for our clients. The furniture side, we've already hit a couple cool goals already. And one, we actually just were able to purchase a piece of machinery, which is kind of like our first piece that we were able to get, a
yeah.
double-headed drum sander, 50-inch wide. And so,
Nice.
yeah, and so it's kind of like it's scary because you're buying equipment now, but it's like kind of like this just where we have to go for that. So it's a neat thing. So that's coming in next week, so which is pretty fun. But for the furniture side is just really to grow that in a way that's not gonna hurt the company. It grow it in a way that's just going to be kind of thinking through all the processes. I mean, we right out the gate making $38,000 was kind of a shock to us, and so
Yeah.
and it's slowed down a little bit, but now we're getting ready for the next stages, and I really want to see that to be have consistent, 36 plus $1,000 months, but putting out product that's just done real well. And then start implementing more of the stuff that we like. We love like the big slab furniture and stuff, doing stuff like that, more stuff like that too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's always fun. Those big projects, those big tables, those 7, 8, 10, 12, $15,000 conference tables.
yeah,
That's fun stuff.
yeah,
Um, So, one of the big questions that everybody's asking themselves watching these interviews like this is like, well, that's great for Jeff, but will it work for me? That's
hmm,
the big question in everybody's mind, like if they're considering joining the program or checking it out. And so, like, when it comes down to what you feel like has really contributed to your success or the
hmm,
guys in the program that you see winning on a consistent basis, what do you see?
yeah,
What are the things that you see you doing on a consistent basis that you're like, man, these are the top three things that I do that I know leads to us closing sales, leads to us cash flowing the business and doing well. Like, what does that
yeah,
look
yeah. I'd say the one of the main things is I am a little bit different than some other people in the program since we already had a shop and things like that though. But we started at that humble place of as far as us just like not having we didn't really know much.
like?
And so
Yeah.
having to learn that, going in humbly and say like I don't know and I want to learn, and then relying on the program to kind of jumpstart all that. I mean, it's like I feel like based on this program, I probably jumped over like, probably 2, 3 years or more of just
Mhm.
like kind of the hard knocks type stuff, while having to learn in the trenches. And so
Yeah.
that's been a huge thing for me when it comes to that. Um, and then I think. some of the processes, the sales things is king, and learning, even if you're not a good salesperson, really allowing the coaches to just teach you what it is, what it takes to be a good salesperson, like responding very quickly and actually being very authentic when you actually respond to people, not just doing like a kind of a blanket, like, hi, would you like a quote? I mean, just but be a human and be a good human when it comes to that kind of stuff. And then following up, do what you say you're gonna do, and so those are really huge things, and I think if you kind of like there's probably more, but if you kind of practice doing those well, the money starts coming.
Right.
So the sales start coming, and so that's been neat. That's been neat for me to see. And then started getting your brand, kind of making sure your brand overall, you look and feel. So when people actually come to you, they can see like, okay, these are legit people. This is not a um, you know,
Yeah.
they basically their whole worry goes down because they see you're legit. So
Right.
yeah.
And tell us again the name of your company.
It's a long one. I'll just say MMWW Co. But it's a longer word. Mischievous Metals and Woodwright Company. So
Okay. Okay,
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, so with the program and with everything that you've got going on, um, what have been like what are some of your key hires? Who are you kind of depending on to help? Obviously, you said like you used to be a lot more involved in the day to day, like
Mm,
swinging the hammer, doing that kind of stuff. But with you transitioning and having a lot more stuff going on, you're having to be more of an owner, which is a
mm,
good move. But like, well, who's your key guy? What does he kind of help you with inside of the shop? What do you put on his plate? And anybody considering like making a hire or trying to transition into growing and hiring employees, what are some things that you could, even from your experience in the construction business, what are some bits and pieces of advice you would tell somebody?
yeah. Yeah, I think I mean for us that person for us right now is our manager. He's an overall manager. He helps manage the furniture and helps manage the construction portion of it. And
Hmm.
he's basically my right hand man. He's the guy when I my because my plate's very full right now.
Hmm.
And so I'm able to train him. I've trained him in estimating. I've trained him on and just the generic process of the furniture side. We're in Estes right now on a small vacation right now, and but he's back there running it right now. And so
Yeah.
to me, that's like there's no way we could have done this if we didn't have someone like him. And he's even doing like a sales call. They're coming to our shop on Saturday, a client to look at tables, and so he'll be there for that, which is actually kind of a nice thing. And then I think for your shop employees, what I've if you can hire people with that has some skill and but not necessarily it doesn't have necessarily to be in construction. We actually hired a guy. He's a really good dude. He's come a friend of a friend, but he was a mechanic, and he was very just the mechanic shops sometimes are pretty rough to be around, and he wanted to get out of that kind of negative atmosphere. And so we talked to him, and he's like, I'd be interested in coming over. And he's been the one that's actually been the most meticulous, awesome, detail-oriented guy, and which we need him. And now we're working on his processes to speed him up. And once he speeds up, he's gonna be dynamite.
Yeah.
And so that's it. That's kind of the hiring thing, and t I think taking your time to hire people too, just not just don't get someone. Just
Right.
spend some time and kind of vet them a little bit, and yeah, just make sure they're a good human too.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Well, from the first moment that we really got connected and we met, I could tell you're a great guy. I could tell you're probably running a company, not just with the profits in mind, but like caring for the people,
yeah.
really building culture. What are
hmm
some things you do to like just make sure that you have a great culture with your team?
Yeah, well, I mean, ours is like right off the bat. Even like when we hired people, we let them all know that we're believers, we're Christians, and so and we're very transparent with our faith and our relationship with Jesus, and
Yeah.
and uh, and so that right there, we hire people with that. known. And
Right.
then we have a weekly kind of business meeting for furniture and for furniture and construction. And it's an hour. We pay them, and they come and they're either at the coffee shop or at our shop, and we have a time of just talking about all the work we're doing from construction into furniture. And then we also have a time of just like checking in with everybody. How's everybody really doing right now? And
Yeah.
we have a chance to talk about our weekends, or we kind of learn from you guys, like doing the wins, what's our wins and stuff. So we brought that into our company, and so everybody talks about their wins and from personal to work, whatever. But then we actually have a time of prayer, and not all of them are Christians though, but they're. It's been neat to see how they've really responded in a way of just like being really open to what it is to have a relationship with Jesus,
Yeah.
and so that's been a neat thing. And so that's all mixed in our culture. And so everybody really it's neat to see how that works with that. So that's one thing that we do. We have that and then we have a every 2 months we have a fun Friday. And so at the end of the day at 4 o'clock, well 3:30 we clean the shop, and then from four on we just do something fun together, and we pay them to do that. And it's just a time that we've had in the past. It was a real hot day. We had a big bucket of water balloons, went out there and just, chucked water balloons at each other.
That's awesome.
And then
I love it.
we have dart boards and we play darts and things like that, just to kind of like because um just being like loving what we do, we can probably work 14-hour days every day, but kind of
Mhm.
saying like no to that a little bit and saying like we're gonna have some fun and just enjoy each other is kind of a really, I think, a healthy way to do it. Um, and they respond. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Everybody says they love working for us because it's different and fun, and there's faith, and it's like it's yeah,
Yeah. I love that, man.
yeah,
Seriously, I could take a page out of your book and with everything I've got going on. But I love seeing not only are you doing great work, not only are you building great products, taking care of your customers, but there's a focus and an emphasis on taking care of your employees as well, taking care of
yeah.
your team. And if you always take care of your team will always take care of your clients, right? And so,
Hmm.
um, okay, so last question,
Okay.
or I say that I'm a pastor, so I might, I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Mhm.
one of the things, that's a lot of people might be also saying is, oh, well, Jeff was already a successful guy, right? So Jeff was already successful. He kind of figured out all the bumps and bruises along and had all that kind of sorted by the time he got to Zach and launched the furniture business. So just from your experience, like growing businesses over the last 10 years, like what is some just really practical advice that you would tell people that are like maybe just starting out? Like
Hmm.
just starting out, maybe they have a job that they don't love and they're trying to start a woodworking business and grow it, or they're considering joining the program, but they're nervous because they don't necessarily want to spend the money. Like, man, we need that money. What are some things that you would if somebody was sitting down in front of you and you're like, help me for the next 10 minutes, give me your top three pieces of advice for a new business owner, what would that be?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like asking them what is the true heart, what they want to do, and if it's furniture or if it's whatever it is, and then discuss them with a plan. Like what would be like your business plan for a 1 year, 3 year, five, and then 10's hard because 10's way out there.
Right.
Um, and then just kind of get them because a lot of it, the idea of starting a company, it's fun. It looks, oh man, we're gonna start something that's great though. But when it
Mm.
gets down into it, it's like, oh man, how do I do this? And that's where the fear comes.
Yeah.
And taking some of that fear out by just actually putting practical, like these are goals. This is what we can do for this time, these time frames, and then don't give up. That's the biggest one. It's like just don't give up. There's been so many times with us in our construction company that it's like it was hard. It was like, oh
Mhm.
man, this doesn't look good, but we never gave up and we always trusted the Lord. And I always felt like God was just with us through that time too. Um, but to see where it's at now on this side of it, how it's like it's just like it needed to you needed to get an infrastructure started so you can start creating momentum. And then once your
Yeah.
momentum comes and you get a track record, people start seeing your work, then it starts going for itself. And
Yep.
I think one of the things with the program, what the program offers is it gives you momentum a lot earlier than I could have ever had with construction. And that's
Yeah.
why if you work this program and you really do it sincerely, honestly, and humbly, you're going to create momentum so much faster than I could ever do. Um, and so that's what I did. And honestly, if there's a program, if I could tell myself this 10 years ago, there was a program like this for construction, I would have been signed up, and it would have been probably a lot different story
Yeah.
than it is right now. So
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
love that. You mentioned something earlier here on the call. We were talking about the coaches just encouraging you to do the right things every day and it'll work itself out, right? You
yeah,
kind of mentioned that like make sure you're working through the sales process, you're following up with people, you're being authentic. And it's the end of March when we're recording this. Today's March 28th. It's actually my
yeah,
10-year anniversary today.
yeah. Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. And uh and so but it's so cool because to be honest, a lot of the clients have just had kind of a rough start to the year.
Yeah.
January is always pretty slow. February can tend to be kind of slow. And then this month, the first half of the month was kind of slow still, and it's
Hmm.
like, man, dang, what's going on? But we just always talk about we have a quote and a saying that we say inside the program. We say it all the time, and it's control the controllables.
Hmm.
We get focused on the outputs of what I'm going to get. So like getting the sales, getting the revenue, getting the cash flow coming into
Hmm.
the business. But if we focus our attention on the inputs, which is get back with leads immediately, give out quotes quickly, follow up on a consistent routine basis, post to
Yeah.
the page consistently, focus on getting reviews, focus on taking great care of clients, and then doing everything that you possibly can think to do to maximize your reach, right? So we got Facebook ads that are running. We've got all the different organic ways that we can get sales. We're even introducing in the program starting this next month, like SEO and pay per lead
Hmm.
services and some different things that are really going to help diversify ways to get sales. But it's like if you can just control the things that you can control, you might go through a dry spell or you might go through a 20-day or 30-day span. You're like, man, I haven't sold anything. But we've seen like our wins channel right now is blowing up because we've got guys that are like closing deals at the end of the month. We got a client in here that's been with us for a long time. He's up in Canada and he had like no sales like last Thursday and he has over 30,000 in sales.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, like in a week, right? So
Yeah.
so just one of the things that I'll just like kind of talk you up is I can just tell that you're a guy that like you're principled. Like these are the
Mhm.
principles that we follow. These are the things that we're going to do. And I'm not going to get fixated on the results yet. I'm going to get fixated on the inputs, the things that I'm in
Yeah.
control of. And I think that's led to your success with construction, remodeling, and obviously has led immediately transferred into this business as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, just last thing here before we leave, if there's somebody on the fence considering it, thinking about it, you know, there is an innate risk. You
Mhm.
have to pay to join the program. What would you tell people that's like, I'm on the fence. I don't know if I should spend the money. What would you say? What would you tell them to come in and immediately focus on?
Well, what popped in my mind first, all is like you can sit there and dream about things, and time will pass you by pretty fast.
Yeah.
Or you take that risk and you jump in, and then you'll know what it's about, and then you start just working that. So I think the main thing is that there is a little bit of risk, financial risk in the beginning. But there's financial risk in everything you do, really, when it comes down to
Yeah.
it. And so, and this one with the track record, I mean, you can just read all the reviews and everybody that's been part of this program and what's happened. And I'm just one of those examples of that. It's like it's a little less risky than a lot of other things you could be doing. And
Yeah.
so,
That's very
um,
fair.
yeah, and so basically, just I would give that person counsel just to jump in and try it and overcome your fear and just try it. Worst case is it doesn't work out and you can go back to your other job, whatever, but it's probably going to work out.
Yeah. So good. So good. Well,
Yeah.
one thing I like to do just with everybody that I interview and have these conversations with and we show the whole world is just kind of bless you before you leave. One of the things that I've loved is you have one of the most positive attitudes of anybody in the whole program.
Mm-hmm.
That you still haven't like had that you've never really had a bad month. Like you've come in
I
and
get it.
done well
Yeah.
every month. But I think that's a result of like you just choosing to always see the world through a glass half full
Mm,
mentality. Um, and that's one of the biggest things I'll just say that I see consistently in our successful clients is it is not as much about tactics as people think it is. It is there are absolutely tactics and you can't be successful without the tactics. So
yes.
I don't want to discredit that. But people come in with negative mentalities, with glass half empty outlooks, with
Hmm.
um, and they don't ever really give themselves a fair chance to succeed because the moment something doesn't look right or feel right, they immediately go negative.
Hmm.
And when you put yourself in that frame of mind, it's just very hard to get and keep momentum, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So one of the things I just want to brag on you for, man, is
Hmm.
just immediately first of all, as soon as I met you, I could tell that you love Jesus before you said a word. Like
Yep.
you got Jesus all over you,
Hmm.
and I can tell that you love people and you care about people.
Yes.
And that is, I know, contributed to a ton of your success.
Hmm.
Favor ain't fair. It's one of the things we say at church.
Yeah.
Favor ain't fair. And you got favor all over your life. And
Yep.
so
Amen.
I just want to encourage you, man. You have contributed so much to the group.
Hmm.
You're such an encouragement to me. And
Hmm.
I'm just so grateful that we got a chance to get on the same path together and that we could help
Yeah.
support your goals. And
Yep.
love having you being a part of the program, Jeff.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much, Zach. It's been a pretty awesome thing, and back right back at you, man. It's been a great positive experience for us. So you're doing great. You're doing a great thing.
awesome, man. Well, so before we leave, anybody that wants to find you, how can they find you? Where can they go to check you out?
Yeah, so probably the easiest way is this probably Facebook, and it's Mischievous Metals Woodwright or MMWW Co. But we have a website too, so it's mmwwco.com. So
Okay,
yeah,
awesome. Yeah. And so if you're watching this, you want to learn more about Jeff, learn more about his business, kind of get a look at his remodel company, get a look at his wood company, go check him out. If you have any questions about his experience, I'm sure Jeff would be more than open to also hop on Instagram or Facebook and have a chat with you guys if you want to ask some questions about the program. But with that, we'll wrap this episode up.
yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. And Jeff, again, thank you so much for being with me, man. Appreciate you. And
Have a good day. Thank you so much. Thanks.
yep, we'll see you on the next one.